As John started the third year in charge, a lot of people use the phrase third time lucky. Is it going to be third time lucky for yourself, Cork City and the squad this season?
It's too far away to say, I suppose. Look, it's since the management have come in, the club has been turned around. Obviously, we were looking to get our hands on silverware, and we've been in Europe for 2 years, and we've been in a cup final. So obviously the next push is that we need to try and see can we get our hands on one of the major trophies. So that's our intention, and a lot of work was done in the off season to see could we bring players in that we feel could improve areas that we needed to improve, and so we've been very happy with pre-season, obviously happy with the President's Cup final. But as I said, the league starts Friday, and I'm sure Keith Long will have his troops marching down here looking to kick us up the backside. So we need to be ready for them.
Bohs are one of the teams really aren't threatening what a lot of people think is the top four: Dundalk, City, Pats and Rovers.
Yeah.
But Bohs weren't far away last season.
Well, no, I suppose the last game of the season they lost out in Europe. They nearly got into fourth position, and while most of the teams in the Premier Division are full time, they're one of the part time teams. So Trevor Keith has probably got the best of the part time players around Dublin, and who have day jobs and train 4 times a week. So they're very good. He's kept the bulk of last year's squad. He's actually kept the whole of them really, and he's brought in Curtis Byrne from Dundalk. So from that point of view, and plus the fact that Akinada did so well when he brought him in last year. So when you look at where they're at, they're sort of, they're stronger than they were last year. So obviously he's pushing to see can they challenge, certainly get into Europe. So it'll be interesting to see how they get on. So we know it's a very tough game on Friday night.
You mentioned silverware. It was good to get victory in the President's Cup last Saturday, which you must have been really pleased. Like 7 signings. We know there were 10 went in the close season, but 7 signings, they all played, and they seemed to gel so well.
Yeah.
It was a really good performance.
Yeah, I suppose we deliberately targeted that game with a lot of the new players. Obviously, a lot of the players that didn't start we would know, because obviously they've been with us, the likes of Mark, Stephen Beattie, Shep, Colin. So it was really to see the lads who hadn't played or played in Turner's Cross how they'd react. And I don't want to go overboard. I think the fact that we beat Dundalk was no harm, because we hadn't beaten them at all, and the fact there was a cup at stake was good, because sometimes people like to make things like this that if you don't win a bit of silverware or whatever. But from my own point of view, it just showed that the pre-season has been good. The lads have worked really hard. There's a great spirit in the team. They've really integrated well. A lot of positivity, no trouble, and just a good feel factor. So the lads are pushing each other, and that's what we needed. So, as I said, the league starts Friday night, and we have a very tough opening number of games, and we just need to see can we start right and get a bit of momentum from the start.
Victory in the President's Cup kind of kick-started their season last year as well. So you're obviously going to be looking for the same thing.
Well, you certainly hope so. And I suppose to be fair to the lads, there was a great buzz with the lads and a great atmosphere with them, and and this week they've trained hard again, and I think they know that Friday night is a totally different type of game, but at the same time, you hope it's going to be a springboard to start your season well and to stay up there, because obviously you'll have 3 or 4 teams challenging, but it's important for us, and we've always seen this down in Cork. If you start well and get momentum behind you, and keeps you there. Whereas the last number of years, certainly last year, if you fall back or fall off the top, or let someone like a Dundalk open a lead of 10 or 12 points, it's very, very hard to claw back then. So certainly we'd hope to have momentum from the start.
We know where you are with John Cavanagh. Might be back until after the summer break. Gary Buckley got a knock in training last week. What's the latest on Gary? Yeah,
Gary is good news, thankfully, that he had a good bit of swelling. It was just a free challenge, really. So, because to be fair to our lads, they train the way they play. So, it was just one of those challenges that happens. But thankfully, he should be back within. He won't make Friday, but I'd hope following week away to Derry that he'll be back in contention for that.
And no other bumps or bruises?
Well, there's a few bumps and bruises, but the brilliant thing is that when you have lads who are honest and want to push each other and want to train every day and want to be in the team, there's a situation where they're all training every day, pushing each other. So, other than that, I'd expect that you know, that the lads that missed last week, probably Mark came back on the bench. Kevin has a small bit of a problem, but he trained this week, so I'd expect him to be back in contention.
This young man, Owen O'Connell, he seems to be able to find already. He's, for 20 years of age, he's very commanding, and he's had a presence in a lot of the games he's played in.
Are you saying that we found someone, Billy?
No, I knew his father, and there was bound to be a connection, right? We played together.
Well, look, I think the fact that he's in Celtic and he's played first team games and he's been on the bench, and you know, and the fact that, look, they want to increase his contract shows how they rate him. From our point of view, is getting the most out of him over the next 4 months, and there's no doubt he's a tremendous footballer, and which it's great for us to have, and particularly the fact that, you know, to have a lad Cork, lad living at home, walked the first day he walked in the train. Actually, he nearly flew home. He was so excited to join us, and that's fantastic to have that type of a young fella coming in, and you know, hopefully he can give strong performances every week.
John, how important is it that you're starting your season at home this year? Last year we were away to Sligo, so for momentum's sake, I suppose it's important that you start at home this year.
Big, and it's a big thing for us, Rory, because if we go back to 2 years ago, first game at home was against Pats 2 years ago. We had over 5,500 people, and there was great buzz in the city. And you know, being away last year with the launch of the league up in Sligo was, you know, it's a downer because your second game is at home. So I think, you know, after, you know, the game last Saturday, to have the first game at home, there's great buzz around the place. I'm hoping, I'm really appealing to the crowd to come out in force. I've said this because it is good, you know, if you can get your first game. It's a very difficult one, but certainly if you can get 3 points on the board, it gives you that bit of momentum. And also with the fact the game is on TV, I think it's good for our supporters to come out and show us show us on the TV. Big crowd, big atmosphere, showing what we're all about. And I'm appealing to all our supporters to come out Friday night, really get behind the team and show, you know, across the country, you know, the people are watching that, you know, we're a big club, you know, with big crowds, and we show that off, you know.
You have a few selection headaches, I'd imagine, in a good way, across the park on Friday. Have you an 11 in your head, or is there still places up for grabs and training?
Well, the beauty is that, and I keep saying this, you know, I've often had this before, where some managers prefer not to have hard choices. They prefer easy choices. They prefer guys to be missing, injured or whatever to make their decision. I'm the opposite, because I believe that you need everyone knocking on the door, and while some guys are disappointed, to me it only just drives them on further and gives them the buzz to say, well, look, I know I'm going to get a chance. When I get my chance, I want to be in and take it and stay in. So from that point of view, yeah, there will be, you know, some quite a few selection headaches, but at the same time, I want that. We need it, and we need everyone pushing each other. So while there are difficult decisions to make, I personally don't find them being difficult, because my intention is always to pick the team that I feel on the night will get the result, you know, and that's been my philosophy, and that's the way I sort of look at it.
Would you envisage many changes, John, from last weekend to Friday night?
Well, there's certainly 7 guys who put themselves in contention, you know. So, and probably the fact that if we hadn't done the Dundalk match last Saturday, and this was our first game, and we were maybe playing someone like a Cove or someone last weekend, then you'd say to yourself, the team would have been different. You know what I mean? What we wanted to see was the new fellas coming in front of the cross against Dundalk, how they'd react and how they'd play. So from that point of view, it was very positive. But at the same time, there were lots of fellas who didn't start last week, who we know have done fantastic for us. And you know, it keeps it open, and that's the most important thing.
It was like a new team, John, from the team that played in the cup final only 4 months ago.
Yes.
So like 3 players started on Saturday to play.
Yes.
So are you happy enough with the loose side? Like, you've strengthened every position you feel going into the new season?
Yeah, well, I think if you looked at probably the fact that you had probably Beats was cup tied last year, so he couldn't have played in the cup final. That obviously we knew that was a loss. Obviously Shep and Mark starting, they were on the bench, and Colin, but at the same time, you know, and Danny had been injured at times. So I suppose from our own point of view, we have brought in players that we want to be more dynamic, more energetic, more expansive. And you know, sometimes people ask you and say, well, you're playing a different style this year than last year. You play the style that suits your players, and that's as the manager, you have to adapt to that. And you know, 2 years ago we went close with a different type of strategy, a different team, because the team played to their strengths. Now we're looking at this season where we have different players have come in or competing across the park, and they offer us a lot more. and offers a different range of your style of game and how you'll play. And so all the new players that have come in have lifted the squad. And I think, out of training, everyone can see, the talent that's there. The most important thing for us is for our players to keep their feet on the ground, work as hard as they can, and crucial on match day, deliver the performance week in, week out, and that's what they have to do.
What do you think gave you the edge on Saturday, John, when you look at, we said a cup final, many chances, a goal in the cup final,
Yes.
scored 2 and played really well. What do you think was the difference maybe against a team like Dundalk?
Well, I think, we showed a great attitude, great hunger. I suppose a lot of the new players that came in have beaten Dundalk. So it wasn't a situation that we had a team that hadn't beaten Dundalk. A lot of the new players that came in, Bolger, Kenny, they've won a league, they've won a cup. So they were used to beating Dundalk. So from that point of view, I suppose it was one of those ones that the new players see things differently, and they open things up. And while we might be paranoid about that we hadn't, they come in with a total different mind and expect to turn it on and expect to win. And that was, I suppose, really. I wouldn't like to dwell too much on it. Stephen Kenny has said they've been flat. They didn't seem to be up for the occasion, and he's assured us all that they're going to be ready for us in 4 weeks' time. So we'll wait and see. But it was a good win for us.
John, you're saying there that winning the President's Cup was sort of you can use it as a springboard to the season. Do you feel in your own head kind of that was a sense of a breakthrough, and your first trophy, kind of a monkey off your back in a way, and you can take it on from there on?
I suppose sometimes, though, maybe like some of yourselves, some of our supporters get, feel that, should you win the Munster Senior Cup, that none of the League of Ireland teams really put any interest in, what I mean, or is getting into Europe bigger. I think there's only one answer there, so, but maybe if it has answered that, know that you've won your first trophy and that's it, well and good, but I suppose for me, I'm practical. I prefer to be winning the big trophies.
Or just, I suppose, as you mentioned a moment ago, but just like they had about the last year's squad, they signed 1 or 2 decent players,
Yes.
Curtis Byrne, as you say,
Yeah.
to the same manager, which
Yes.
probably helps as well.
Yes.
They
Well,
could be
they're good,
dark horses.
and Keith's a good lad, and Keith's worked really hard, and he's turned them around, and they really, like last year he was sort of, people were saying they were mid-table, and all of a sudden they were a game from Europe, so he did a fantastic job there.
They had a strong finish
It's
last
a
year.
very, very strong finish, and I suppose he brought Akinad in, who was probably during the season, and to be fair to Keith, he's kept him, because obviously all the top clubs are looking for him, and he kept him, which was fair credit to him, and I admire him for that. But at the same time, they brought Curtis Byrne in, who probably felt he wasn't getting enough game time at Dundalk, and he scored a lot of goals in pre-season over the last 3 or 4 weeks. But still, in saying that, they have a strong back four, they've Delaney in goal, they've Lopez in the middle park, Prendergast and Murphy at the back, so they've a solid foundation. And one thing about Bohs is that they're always the type of team that have a go off everyone. If you look at them over the last number of years, we've had problems with them. They've beaten Dundalk, they've beaten Shamrock Rovers, they've beaten Pats, so they're the type of team Bohs are, and they're the type of players that have that they're quite confident in their own ability. So whereas sometimes during the season I would expect teams to come back and sit back here and just stay behind the ball. Bohs won't do that. They'll have a cut-off because that's the type of players they are and the type of manager Keith is. So I think it'll be a really fascinating game Friday night, and we'll have to play as well as we did last Saturday, I feel, to get the result against them. But that's the challenge to us.
Maguire's in there as well, isn't he? Our side, Mark Quigley.
Mark Quigley is.
He's there as well.
He's good, yeah. Mark Quigley.
experienced.
He's experienced, but I wouldn't expect him to start.
Yeah.
And that's not when you've likes of Akinad and Byrne. I wouldn't think so. We have a fair idea what team they'll play, so I wouldn't expect him to start.
If you added as well to the coaching stuff, John,
Yeah.
what will Alan bring to the coaching side of things?
Well, as lads will tell you, we've tried to build a team, and when you're dealing with 24, 25 people every day, you need people around you who work hard and put effort in. Billy changed jobs last summer, and ultimately in the last 3 months of the season, he was missing all training, and it's very hard for John Cotter. Like John works 24/7, fantastic guy. Phil does the goalkeeping, but it's very hard. And when we lost Billy for the last 3 months last year, we needed someone to fill in, and I know Rennie a long time, fantastic guy, great player. He managed Waterford, he's been assistant at Derry, assistant at Pats, and he's been around and great football knowledge. And I'd met him around that time to say, look, next season are you you're on, would you be able to commit to your certain, because he's his own day job as well. So we had a good chat about it. He works for the FEI, so we were able to work something out, and he can commit to us a certain couple of times a week, and it fits well. It helps Cots as well at training, and he rows in with us, and plus the fact he's a great football head now. And you need people like that who know the game and have great experience and great knowledge of the other teams as well. And Billy Woods had that as well, but it's just that he wasn't able to commit as much for the second half of the season. So that's why to bring in Rennie was I'm delighted with it, because I know him a long time, and he's another good addition, and the lads like him, and he's with Cots. The two lads get stuck into the lads, and I let them off, and good luck to them.
He's passionate as well, isn't he?
Well, he has.
As a kind of a passionate player.
Well, if you're in the opposite team against the one he played, you know about it, Billy. So he had a lot of passion, all right. Yeah, so he was a good player. He was a good player as well.